can tell. Yeah, yeah. Does Jim know? I know. We're all good. Okay. All right, well, welcome everyone here to the chambers. It's nice to see everybody. Just as a reminder, our special business meeting started at 5 o'clock. Not at 7, so we're still in the midst of that special business meeting. That started at 5 o'clock. The agenda for that special business meeting was call to order. I think they're probably still out there on the ledge. Communications from Manager Ritzman, we went through that, and public comments on any topic item. So we already rolled through those things, those 3 agenda items, and then we got down to our work items on our agenda, and the first one was to go into closed session. We needed a motion to go in closed session, so a motion was made, and it was supported, and we went into closed session, and now we have come back out of closed session into this meeting that started at 5, so now we're moving on with our agenda, and the next item now on our agenda is a consideration of proposals for executive search services for the city manager search process. Now, for agenda items that we're approaching like this, I might ask Manager Ritzma, do you have a report from city staff? Well, I won't be asking that of Manager Ritzma, partly because our HR director, James Henderson, is not here this evening. He might have provided a report. So in lieu of that, I'm going to ask our committee that's been helping us with this to provide, kind of set the stage where we're at, what we're doing, and provide some report around that. Vice Mayor Hess?
Thank you, Mayor. So here we are. Jim Ritzma announces we're here because Jim Ritzma has announced his retirement early this year with an end date. Is it November 17th, Jim? November 18th is his last day of employment with the city. Commission determined that a search was in order and that we needed to find a search firm to help us do that. Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Pradel, and I volunteered to be the subcommittee along with James Henderson and Attorney Leal to seek applicants for the search firm. Our subcommittee determined after we had 10, not 9, we had 10, but 9 that were viable search firms that we looked through and that we ranked and that we scored, and we came up with our top 3, who we invited to our meeting last Monday to give an in-person presentation to Commission and the community. They were SGR, CPSHR, and Raftalis. And so we have that, and because there were some remaining questions of 2 of the firms, we set this special meeting tonight to receive public comment and to share updates from the 2 other finalists. So I've asked Commissioner Wilson and Commissioner Pradel to give those updates, which we have with us here from SGR and from CPSHR.
Thanks, Vice Mayor. I'll start with CPSHR. We asked them to get back to us with their diversity placement stats, and they were as follows. City manager placements, 49 placed, 23 diverse candidates placed of those 49, giving us a 47% diversity placements. Overall, 908 placed. This includes searches outside of city manager. 477 diverse placements, equaling about 53% diversity placements. Breaking that down by ethnicity, the count of each ethnicity, 31 Asian, not Hispanic or Latino, 54 Black or African American, not Hispanic or Latino, 71 Hispanic or Latino, and then 435 I choose not to self-identify. 2 or more races, there were 24, and then 293 white, not of Hispanic origin. Veteran status, there were 20 that were not protected veterans, and then 888 who chose not to self-identify. And then on the breakdown of gender, we have 339 female, 465 male, and 104 I choose not to self-identify.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. For SGR, they also sent a follow-up based on commission questions. One of the things I really appreciated about SGR's response is they specifically responded to each commissioner. So I'll start off with I'm going to read the start message here that they sent. Thank you again for the opportunity to present to the City Commission and the City Manager for the City Manager recruitment. We appreciate the insightful questions to the City Commission raised during our presentation. We're eager to partner and wanted to follow up promptly on a few key areas from the meeting. So on the extended placement guarantee, this was in response to Commissioner Wilson's question. They said, we're pleased to confirm that we will provide a 24-month placement guarantee for the City Manager recruitment. So that was the response to that. Our executive recruitment team's diversity. This was in response to a question you asked Commissioner Cooney. They said we wanted to provide more information regarding diversity of our executive recruitment team specifically. Here are some highlights of our team. Nearly 42% identify as female, over 20% identify as Black or African American, Asian, Hispanic, or 2 or more races. They did not break down specifically beyond that. Our team brings a wide range of perspectives, experience, and networks to this search, which is critical, identifying a broad and qualified pool. And then in response to Commissioner Decker's question on their dedication to Kalamazoo, they would like to add that the city's commitment to community, equity, and innovation resonate strongly with SGR's values. We are not just looking to fill a position, we are committed to finding a city manager who genuinely contributes to the ambitious goals of Kalamazoo has set for itself. Our recruitment strategy focuses on a wide national search that prioritizes identifying a diverse group of highly qualified candidates who align with Kalamazoo's forward-thinking vision. We are confident we will attract a leader who will not only meet the needs of the city, but also champion its long-term aspirations. So those are in response to the 3 commissioner questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Pradel and Commissioner Wilson. So moving forward, we have an opportunity tonight to discuss the search firms, to listen to public comment about them, and I think that should come first. So the public comment should come first, but then we'll discuss each of the firms. Clerk Borling will have a ballot for us to rank these three firms, and it would be displayed then on the screen that to be very transparent about how we're voting and all of that. So, Mayor?
Thank you very much. Once again, I appreciate the work of this committee, a great deal. Questions from non-committee members for the committee or anything about the report or anything from the commission, rest of the commission here? No? Okay, great.
Mayor, a question moving forward. So we did finding the search firm. Is this a ongoing subcommittee that will be working with James moving forward, or do we want to add other people to that? That could be a discussion
so
we can
something
have later.
for another discussion, I think, but I appreciate the question. So, no questions for the team. That means now is the opportunity for anyone in the chambers who would like to comment on this item. This is relative proposals for the executive search services for city manager search process. Now's your opportunity. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and whether you live in the city.
Good evening. My name is Dick Schultz. I live at 2949 Sunset Road in Kalamazoo. I appreciate the powers that be coming up with a video of last week's presentations. I've watched all the videos given on June 16th at the Committee of the Whole special session. The search process for the firm that would lead our city on a search for a new city manager is indeed an important one. While I thought the first two presentations were adequate, I want to express my impressions of the third presenter, Ms. Pamela Weidman from Raftellus. As Mayor Anderson stated, I too was disappointed that she was limited in the time that was allotted for her presentation. However, even though she had less than half the time the first two presenters had, I was impressed with her succinctness, her articulation, and her command of the role her company would play in the selection process. Two unique reasons. I favor the third presentation on behalf of Raftellus, I believe is how it's pronounced. Mrs. Weidman did not hesitate to respond to questions from the commissioners. Her responses were immediate and contained more detail than the others. For example, she did not hesitate to respond to the questions about how her company approaches making sure diversity, equity, and inclusion are being accomplished. She had detailed data on the tip of her tongue. In addition to her clarity of presentation, I thought Ms. Weidman displayed a sincere desire to look through an anti-racist lens, a value that has been expressed collectively in resolutions and individually by commissioners many times. As this process unfolds, I would have confidence that her company would prove that these words were not just empty rhetoric. In summary, I could imagine all city commissioners working collaboratively with Raftellus. Ms. Weidman's professional knowledge of the process needed and her stated partnership with agencies where diversity is honored, combined with her warm demeanor, make her, in my humble opinion, the best source of the three to assist our city's leadership in finding a competent city manager, one who could play an important role in helping our city to become a more beloved community, where every person has a voice and can live in safety with dignity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wendy Fields. I stand before you as president of the Kalamazoo branch of the NAACP. I wasn't able to be here for the entire interview of the candidates, so I went back and looked at the video. And won't be redundant in a lot of what I'm sure is going to be shared, but there were a couple things that stood out for me. While you all were interviewing them, I would have to say they're probably interviewing you all as well. And I will say, it was kind of embarrassing to me for you all not to be on one accord in how you were going to use the matrix or the scoring card. And I concurred with Commissioner Cooney, who said, you know, I've just seen this. And I think that that should have been something that you all should have looked at and perused before you even came out here, because it just didn't look good. Secondly, in support of what already has been mentioned about the timelines that were given to each of the candidates. And again, you wonder why we look through an anti-racist, anti-biased lens, because as a black woman, it's always what I'm looking through. And what I saw was simply that the white presenters were given more time. The first lady, I think she got 51 minutes. The second one had 58, and the third had 27 minutes. So she had to fly through her presentation, of which she wasn't able to even show some of her slides. I would even say to you all, she needs a second chance. She did an excellent job, and that's who I'm supporting, because I think she was very concise, very precise, very informed, and very knowledgeable about what it is that they do within her own organization. So again, we've all been through the trainings. We've all claimed it. We use the language, we use the words, but what does it really mean? Are we really putting them into practice? I have to say no, but I know we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, my name is Meg Adams, and I do reside in the city, and I'm a member of Isaac. After reviewing their proposals and listening to their presentations, I believe the executive firm that best represents Kalamazoo would be, for the next city manager, is Raftellus. All the firms had similar strategic steps, but what I was focusing on is which firm had a framework to approach this recruitment process, analyzing and addressing systems and issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion across their operations beyond what was just on paper and actually could deliver what they promised. And again, that was Raftellus. Their lead recruiter, Pamela Weidman from Raftellus, immediately grabs your attention by her first statements that their team is committed to DEI, providing a robust list of candidates through a lens in which they work as a diverse team. You didn't have to ask her what her DEI numbers meant. She offered and told you who she and her team was from the start. 9 team members, 8 women, and 3 African Americans. She offers and tells us she personally is a member of ICMA, the National Black Public Administration, and connected with the Hispanic and Asian networks. She offered again her statistics from the last 12 months. That 42% place were female, 32% were people of color, demonstrating their commitment to providing a diverse group of candidates in the recruitment process, leaving no question to their performance and the outcomes of their firm. I'll just have to say, though, the recruiting firm, SGR, in my opinion, should be eliminated based on a conflict of interest that they have actively working with Battle Creek to hire their city manager, and the fact that we don't even need their lead recruiter, Jeff Tyne. And despite that, I appreciate Rebecca Fleury's transparency about ethics. The bottom line is we shouldn't hire a recruiting firm knowing that we're placing ourselves in direct competition for our candidate pool or any potential conflicts between our cities. Let's continue to support Battle Creek in their efforts to find a city manager by saying no to SGR and demonstrating Kalamazoo's integrity and high ethical standards. And CPS HR was just a no from the start for me. David Newmeyer talked at the commission and never really provides anything to anchor our support. And in my opinion, it was a demonstration of mansplaining and using a woman to back up his claims with facts. So thank you. Even though you got some updates today, the fact that Mayor Anderson and Commissioner Cooney fleshed out in that setting that neither even knew what their claim of DEI placement is, says a lot. And Rachel also makes some statements that are concerning. She says they're committed to DEI, but they also understand the fine balance of honoring these practices while remaining in compliance with federal changes, which means they're probably going to eliminate DEI. Using the phrase people of minority is very problematic language that may indicate a racial structural bias in their firm. Bottom line is these statements indicate a firm, in my opinion, not using inclusive recruiting practices and ignoring systemic bias. In conclusion, in my opinion, there's only one firm, Raftellus, that will deliver a talent pool of candidates, having the qualifications we are desiring in our next city manager and a candidate with the ability to incorporate diversity, equity, and inclusion in all aspects of their role and in the city's operations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commission. My name is Kathy Faison. I work with Isaac as a Housing Task Force Lead, Canvassing Coordinator. I'm also a community organizer. Sorry, so much be going through as far as what it is that I'm doing. I'm the Executive Director for Participatory Defense Movement Kalamazoo, as well as the Chair for the Civil Rights Board. Currently, I live in township, but all my work and heart is in the work that I do within the city that it impacts. First, I want to thank you, Vice Mayor, Mayor, and as well as all the commissioners that take the time to read emails or meet with us. It is greatly appreciated. Tonight, I want to speak in support of Raftellus. They are the best firm to lead the search for the city manager for the city of Kalamazoo. Even though they were given the least amount of time, they demonstrated the clearest, most complete understanding of what this city needs. They were thorough, responsive, and specific in their approach to diversity, equity, and inclusion. They laid out how they would use an anti-racism lens and anti-racist and equitable lens throughout the search process. Most importantly, they are committed to hearing each one of your voices, as well as uplifting the perspectives of the community at large. This is the kind of leadership that the city of Kalamazoo needs in the search for the new city manager. And as the chair of the Civil Rights Board, I'm excited to share that we do have a full board. This means we have a lot of work ahead of us. And one of the things is the enforcement of the Fair Housing Ordinance. The current language as it is now is very much enforceable. And we just need the right leadership so we can collaborate with the City Commission. So that way we can help build trust throughout the community, as well as with the city government, and make sure the Civil Rights Board is inclusive throughout the process of the complaints coming through. I want to thank you all for allowing the community a time to speak and have words along this process. I hope our words are weighing in your decision. Once again, I am going to lift up Raftellus as the firm that is more capable of helping Kalamazoo find a city manager who will lead with equity, transparency, and integrity. And I pray that is your choice also. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening to our mayor, our vice mayor, our commissioners, managers, city staff. My name is Charlotte Davis with Isaac, and I do live in Kalamazoo. Thank you again for this opportunity for public comment. I'm sure it has been a long day for all of you all. I do want to lift that during public comments that we are remaining centered in equity and anti-racism. And this is in alignment with what Manager Ritzma, you all as commissioners, and the city staff have already dedicated to do. We are talking about firms and also candidates that have an anti-racism and equity lens. So we should be aligned. If you'd like to talk about those lenses more specifically, please feel free to reach out to us. SGR, I was concerned that the presenter did not know that they were presenting until the last minute. And this firm, we heard, was working and helping Battle Creek. These things felt like a conflict of interest that's already been mentioned, and also some concerns of capacity. There is no shortage of firms, you all, and we should allow SGR to be able to support our Battle Creek neighbors. This is their second search, as we have heard, and as a Kalamazoo community, we should have our own distinct firm to assist us. CPS HR, I felt isolated from that presentation, as a lot of us did. We did not have that QR code that you all had to be able to see what they were talking about. This presentation was longer than others, as has been mentioned, which impacted other firms. Their explanation of DEI was concerning, and it felt like coded language when talking about DEI and then also mentioning the federal government. Also, not initially looking at identity for applicants that felt like erasure in some ways, though they said that helped with bias. And then lastly, some of the terminology, it was outdated, and it could be seen and felt as offensive. And I also want to thank you all again for the specific questions that you asked them so that they could talk about the specific numbers of DEI. Raftellus, the presenter was given less time, but they shined under pressure. That was not fair. The lead recruiter presented to you all, which was wonderful. She was prepared, she was concise and specific, and she answered all questions on that day. She talked about establishing first-year goals, lifted the one-on-one meetings that she would have with you all, the community engagement on the front end and the back end, options for designing on ways that they could present and hear, we could hear from candidates. The DEI questions were not placed on hold for later. She knew and answered them right then. They have strong and robust different networks, and the stats and percentages were clear. So Raftellus is my firm of choice. They have the equity, DEI, and anti-racism lens, the experience, and they were fully prepared.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the commissioners and the mayor. My name is Andrew Lehman. I live in Ostamo, but I've lived in Kalamazoo for 30 years. I'm a part of Isaac and a member of the Anti-Racism Task Force. Happy to be so. I've been observing the work of the city council and in preparing to find a search firm. And watching it from back here, what I've seen has been disturbing in some ways. Last week's situation where the first two firms were giving much more time than the third firm was very concerning to me. It made me feel a number of things. I was just kind of taken aback by this. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. But I went on to listen. My assumption was that you would share with me that everyone would be entering this fray from the same point, from the same position. If you have a 100-yard dash, everybody starts at the same place. And in this situation, the first two firms were given, I think it was 51 minutes and 47 minutes. The third firm was given roughly half of that time. To me, that's just injustice right there to begin with. And we watched it behold right in front of our faces. It's interesting that the people that spoke the longest were also questioned the most. Ref Lewis was not questioned at all, which to me is an indication of how thorough she was in her presentation. And I felt very impressed with who she was, her firm, the composition of her firm, the way that they're working at being a company as well as looking for help for other entities. So I would strongly support the Ref Lewis's candidacy for this important position and hope that you folks will find that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Toby Hannah Davies, city resident. We are very grateful that several of us in Isaac and several of you on City Commission are working together on becoming true white allies. That means doing the work to keep improving our own personal behavior and also to keep doing the work on improving the way things work in the city. Improving the way things work, the systems like housing and law enforcement, for example, is much more important than most of us who are white ever realize. If we're white, we've benefited from the ways that systems like housing and law enforcement work, favoring white people and causing harm to people who are BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color. Even if we who are white are totally unaware of being favored, we're grateful that together with you, we can look at changing the way things work, the way things are done, to see how we can decrease the harm that's done and build trust with people who have been harmed. It would help a lot to build trust with many people in the community who are BIPOC if you would choose the search firm that best demonstrated that they will use an equity lens, an anti-racism lens in their process when they search for city manager candidates for us. When I listened to Ref Tellis' presentation last Monday night, their approach felt like a breath of fresh air to me. Even though they got the message that they needed to rush, it was still very clear that they would listen really well to each of you and also to everyone in the community about what we all hope for in our new city manager. I want to thank the three of you who worked hard on the committee, rating all the many firms that applied. Thank you for recognizing that Ref Tellis was one of the three strongest of all the firms that you looked at, and understanding how competent and effective they would be. I am hoping and praying that you choose Ref Tellis as the search firm for our new city manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to take advantage of this opportunity for public comment on this item? Okay, seeing no one. The commission, so we have a couple ways we could approach this. I mean, a motion could be made relative to one firm. Clerk Borland, do you have some ballots available?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. So what is the pleasure of the commission? We could pass ballots around and rank and pass those back to Clerk Borland and see how that plays out. Other suggestions? Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is a prime opportunity for us to just put it up for a vote and go from there. That's what I would be in favor of.
I would agree with that. I think, I'm sorry. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think if we just vote outright for who we think our firm would be, I think we could come to a consensus. Or
I agree with that, Mayor.
All right. So people are generally, so that means in order to vote, we need a motion and support for that motion. So does someone want to make a motion? Vice Mayor Hess?
I move that we accept Ref Tellis as our search firm for our city manager.
I second.
Okay, motion made by Vice Mayor Hess, supported by Commissioner Hoffman. Discussion, commissioners. Yes? No? Go ahead, Commissioner Brady.
I'm super supportive of Rep. Tellis. Part of the thing that I struggle with as well is looking up at the clock and there's 20 minutes left, and I think you would ask the question, are there any other things you want? You have a lot of time left. But I think part of it is the need to probe was because the first two I just wasn't feeling, right? It just didn't, something where it's like, I feel like we're having to pull things out of you too much. And so you had to ask a lot more questions, which adds a lot more to the clock, especially if they're long-winded. But it was, I think a few people had said this, and I don't know if any else felt this, but it is the best feeling in the world when it's not even close for me. You know, like I felt very confident. I'm like, this is a person I could envision working with, and knowing it's the actual person we're going to be working with. And it just felt like they were speaking to who we are and what we're about and what we need. And again, like people have said, just the fact that we didn't even have to ask the questions because they knew what we cared about. So you could tell it was so well researched. We didn't have to ask the question because she came knowing who we were, and you could tell she was so well researched. One of the things I really liked about Pamela's presentation as well is they talked about having like a city manager first-year plan, and I love that idea because I think it's so easy for somebody to jump in that you don't necessarily have a plan, and especially tying into our Imagine Kalamazoo 2035, I think that'd be a great first-year thing as well. So definitely Rep. Tellis was my top choice.
Appreciate that. Commissioner Wilson.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Similar to Chris and as well as the community, I'll also be going with Rep. Tellis tonight. They were a clear favorite of mine, and speaking to the lack of time that they had and how they were able to deliver, I think that speaks volume to what we need and, you know, to the time constraints that we might face here going up against November. I think it's nice having someone that can be cool, calm, and collected under pressure. So, very impressed by Rep. Tellis.
Thank you. Other discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Decker?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'll just agree with my fellow commissioners there is, you know, she didn't even need a PowerPoint to get her point across. She knew all of the answers. She was able to answer everything right then and there. She will be our account manager, so we now have a face to a name, and I really think that I took a look at some of the places that they had placed individuals throughout their time that they've been together, and just you look at some of the cities and some of the areas that they have been in and found great people for these jobs. Yeah, I did come a little bit late to the first one, but I was able to go back and kind of watch some of that, so I knew that that probably was not my choice. And then the second one, just, you know, not really knowing how to answer specific questions. And, you know, I think Rep. Tellis came prepared, and they came ready to do the work.
Vice Mayor Hess.
Indeed, they did. Each firm was given a list of what we wanted them to address to us in their presentation. And, you know, Pamela was able to do that in 20 minutes, and she took it very seriously and was quite prepared, and she was very, we didn't really need a PowerPoint because she kept our attention with what she was saying. So, yeah, I was thoroughly impressed and look forward to working with her.
Thank you. Other discussion? Yes, Commissioner Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you, one, to the dais and to the committee, and for us being able to think outside of the box and come back today and also give community an opportunity to speak to this process. I know that's something that we have not practiced all the time, but I think there was value to it. And so I thank you all for continuing to come back to these meetings and stand for what you believe in. And thank you all for giving community that opportunity and the space to do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Nothing? Okay. So I will just say I agree with many of the comments that my colleagues are making up here. And one thing that's just interesting to reflect on is that when you're doing your evaluation and going through those things, you're looking at a presentation, a paper document that talks about the attributes of the firms, and you get to do some research on results of what they've done and how those placements have worked out. But it does remind one of the importance of actually the opportunity to meet the person who's presumably going to be the lead and someone that you're looking to work with for a very, very important task. So there's a human side to this outside of the paper application, which I was just reminded how important that is to be able to do that. I think it was obviously very unfortunate that we were not able to see who the lead was going to be for SGR. We had specifically asked for that. Obviously, that was a last-minute thing for them. Very clear that Pamela was going to be the lead. She's going to be the person that we're working with, and we do have to have a good working relationship, and I feel like she set the tone for that right off the bat. So I'll be supporting this motion as well. Clerk Bornling, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hoffman?
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney?
Yes.
Commissioner Decker?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Commission. The motion passes. Well, so now, thank you one and all for coming here. I appreciate that. But the work does not end. So we're going to go back into closed session now. If a commissioner is willing to make that motion and someone's willing to support it, and we are not going to be coming back to, to the public meeting portion because we won't have an action to take. So that means we won't be coming back to adjourn the meeting, correct, Attorney Leal?
That is correct.
I will need a motion, and then, in essence, do we adjourn the public portion of the meeting before we leave the dais here?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman. Is there support for that motion?
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Decker. Do we need a roll call on that?
Yes.
All right. Clerk Barleen.
Commissioner Pradel?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hess?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooney? Yes. Commissioner Decker? Yes. Commissioner Hoffman? Yes.
Thank you, Commission. The motion passes. We will not be coming back into open session here, so I will close this meeting out. I love you, Kalamazoo. We are adjourned.